How's it going? Motor City Miner here, coming at you with another update on my KS0 mining, and we have another price drop from IceRiver, and it's a disappointment. As you can see, the KS0 now runs for $6.39, which sounds amazing compared to when it first came out at $16.99, but it is only $120 less than prior to this price drop. As you can see, I have been tracking. You know what? We're gonna zoom in. I noticed in my last video it was really small for you guys, so we're gonna do a little bit of zooming. Let's see what we got here. Maybe 200%. That's probably too big. Nope, that's great. This will look so much better for you guys. Alright, so as you can see, I have been tracking every KS0 batch since the very first one. I have now had 5 KS0s, and I have sold one of them to a fellow miner. And I have been tracking my ROI. I have been tracking the cost of these as they keep dropping. And, well, we have another batch, and it's a weird one. So, $6.39. Well, and it's still an August batch. But instead of the 15th through the 25th, like normal, we now have an additional August batch of the 26th through the 31st. Now, I think there's a couple things going on here. If we go into the actual shop section, you notice everything else is still sold out. The KS0 has not said sold out for the original August batch, and that was true even yesterday. I check on this website every day, and today the price dropped and it now has this new date. So what I think actually happened is at the $7.59 price, the KS0 did not actually sell out, and obviously the dates no longer apply since it's now August 22nd. So they simply updated the dates in the listing to be this August 26th through August 31st, and they dropped the price to maybe sell these last few units that did not sell from this prior batch. So we kind of have like, a batch 5.5, but technically I guess it's a 6. But and we're gonna put a late August. There we go, and we have a new price of $6.39. All right, so and that, like I said, disappointment. Only $120 cheaper. If you watched my last video, you would know that even at the $7.59 with a late August delivery, it was getting kind of questionable on if it was a good buy or not. And for an even later August delivery to only save $120, I think I said in my last video I was hoping for a sub 350 number, preferably sub 300. I think is where this should have gone to. So a little disappointed this only dropped 120. I personally will not be, not financial advice, but I will not be buying one of these at $6.39. I know in my last video I was debating should I get more, and I said I probably would if the price drop was big enough. Well, this is not big enough, and we'll get into that with all my cool calculators here. So again, that's kind of what's going on. All their other things are still sold out. It is kind of interesting. They keep adding more control boards and whatnot for parts, but these still say sold out. And I've heard two things. I've heard either that there's going to be more batches and you can start to actually buy individual hashboards, and build your own miner or upgrade ones you already have. But it's kind of weird that there's no hashboards. Like, these are all the components except the hashboards are on here already. So maybe they're just waiting on that. But part of me is starting to think like that maybe, especially with this KS0 batch, how it's clearly just like selling remaining inventory at a lower price that they hadn't sold in the original August batch. I'm actually kind of wondering if they're starting to liquidate and maybe move on to other things. And I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know if that's like other algorithms, or maybe they're going to have a whole new thing, but it's just kind of weird that it's like all the parts except the parts you would actually want. So leads me to believe that maybe they're just selling like leftover parts that they didn't end up using to make all their batches of the KS1, KS2, and KS3s. Only time will tell, I guess. I'm just hypothesizing here. I really have no idea. I don't work for IceRiver. I just go off of what I see. So, but yeah, so at the 639 price, and right now, looks like we're at about a 13.74 petahash. I know there's this number in brackets, but honestly, that's not actually accurate, and we can confirm that by jumping over here to 2 miners, which is saying 13.62, and the pool I am mining on is, let's do a little refresh. This says 16.22. This one tends to vary the most on hero miners, and I think that's because this one comes straight from just like the difficulty calculation, whereas this one's a little more, seems to be a little more steady. But either way, we'll say it's around 15 right now, right? That seems like a happy medium. So we're gonna open up my handy dandy calculator, and we're gonna see first how I'm doing, and then we'll talk about if you were to FOMO in and get a KS0 right now. See, I added this nice little section off to the right here, because this one was kind of calculating my ROI. So now I thought, just based on feedback and some comments, like, you know, for an actual KS0, KS0, whatever you want to call it, if you got one right now, what would it look like? So let's jump into it. So right now, my daily Kaspa earnings, let's do a, yeah, see, this dropped all the way down to 14.4 again. Again, I think their calculation method is just very different. The average difficulty is probably the more accurate one. Anyway, so my current hash rate is 396, so a little higher than my average. Usually, like I said, my average is 385. But that equates to a little under 500 earnings per day. So we'll take my 24-hour average number, so 385. We're going to plug it into mining stats. I know this is not the most accurate, but you know, it's close enough for the purposes we're doing, and that equates to about 354 Kaspa a day. So we will throw that in to here. 454. All right. Awesome. It's going to say that's 1836, but I do have this calculated myself. So right now we're hovering at 0.0404 cost. So let's type that in. 404. So the price of Kaspa has gone up since my last video. It actually went up considerably more. I think it got as high as 0.044 yesterday. But as of the making of this video on 8/22, it has dropped back down pretty close to that 4. So with that daily Kaspa and the current price of Kaspa, I have total yielded. Oh, this is not up to date. Darn it, guys. I completely forgot one step here. So I do have to manually add this up. Okay, so I corrected this. Took a brief moment. Again, I've been... I just had to manually add in this number. So it's not 70,000. As of today, not as does the last video, was at that 70,000 number. As of today, on August 22nd, we have mined 73,927 Kaspa. About, I just rounded, you know, whatever. So that actually gets us a little closer to a net 0 ROI. Right now, on that last miner, we still owe, you know, this one that we started on 815, we still owe $509.35. So not quite ROI, but at our current yield of 454 Kaspa a day and the current price of Kaspa, that means we should ROI on that last unit in 27.77 days. So that's where we are on my current set of miners. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's do a calc as if you had bought. As of today, again, it's always better to be at the beginning of a batch because you get your miner first and you're more likely, well, you're just gonna, not more likely, but you start working towards that ROI sooner. So let's assume same cost value of Kaspa. In your net, position is going to be minus $639. Yes, this does not include shipping or any import fees. Those will vary depending on the country you're in, so I am not going to factor those in. Now, if you only have one of these units, let's look again. I've never seen one of these average 100. They always tend to be somewhere in about the 95 to 97 range. So let's say 96. Let's say you get a 96 gigahash unit, which I would say is pretty average. You're going to get 96 gigahash a day. That equates to 113 Kaspa. So let's throw that into my calculator. 113. Alright, now, as you will see, this ROI number has drastically increased in the last month. I think there was a point where even maybe 3 weeks ago, a KS0 would have ROI'd in under 2 months, but we're now looking at 139 days, which, well, that's not a small amount. I mean, that's pretty much, 4.5, 5 months almost. Still really great. Again, we've kind of been spoiled with this whole Kaspa thing. Honestly, even in a bull run, because your equipment costs more, it's pretty typical for ROI on equipment to be at least 6 months. But yeah, so looking at the 4.5, 5 month ROI as of today. Now, here's the thing. There is absolutely no way that KS0 bought today and delivered in late August is going to make 113 Kaspa a day. And here's why. So, BItmain, big news yesterday, released this tweet that KS3s have been shipped. Now, we have no idea how many are in this first batch. And it looks like the specs have maybe upped a little bit, because they're now saying 9.4 terahash instead of, I think it was 8.3 originally. So it looks like they're going to be a little better than the IceRiver KS3. But yeah, so the batch shipped out. Now, there's no way it's like 5,000 units or anything like that. This is just the first batch. I would say it's probably like maybe 1,000 to 2,000, if I had to guess, in the first batch, and then the following batch will come out soon in the near future. Again, I have no actual research, and I mean I've done research, but there's no way to verify these numbers. I am just based on experience and what I've seen in the past from BItmain. I would guess there's probably 1,000 to 2,000 in this first shipment, and then a few more will be coming here shortly. But that means a bunch of hash rate's about to come online. And now you're probably like, well, won't the hash rate come offline first? Well, here's the problem. There hasn't really been a dip in hash rate since this, announcement from BItmain. There was a dip back here where we went from 4.2 down to 1.0 for a day, but that was exactly when IceRiver shipped. So I think that this 3 petahash we saw has already come back online by this date, by the 12th. And that's really all your IceRiver. So I don't see a dip here, which leads me to believe that one of two things is going on. Either a lot of IceRivers have shipped, which is possible, but their batch sizes have been relatively small. Or, more likely, I think BItmain is keeping what they're testing. So the units that they've been testing on already, hypothetically, and again, I would say they probably are because of some of the pools that have jumped up out of nowhere in the last 2 weeks, such as F2 Pool and Poolin, which were really low until about 2 weeks ago and suddenly jumped up on this chart. So I think that's about when BItmain probably started testing these units. And I think instead of shipping their test units, they're actually keeping their test units for now and shipping out brand new units that have never been turned on, which means this whole batch is unaccounted for anywhere in here that was started shipping yesterday. So I think we're about to see at least a doubling of the hash rate. I would not be surprised if we go from our 13 right now to probably 25 petahash here in the next couple of weeks. That's just, again, I have no proof. That's just kind of what I think is going to happen here. Now, so if say this petahash on the network doubles in the next 2 weeks, well, that means your daily Kaspa earnings are going to be cut in half. So that would put you at about 56 Kaspa a day. Well, and this is about when you would be receiving this. Again, these are the end of August batch, so you're not going to get them until like probably September 1st or something like that. And by that point, I would imagine a lot of these KS3s that BItmain is shipping will be coming online. So you will probably be only earning, by the time you actually buy a KS0 from this late August batch for $639, you will probably only be earning 56 Kaspa a day, which at the current value of Kaspa means you will be making $2.02 a day, which again is still profitable. I mean, this thing costs pretty much nothing to run because it's 65 watts. But your days to ROI now almost exceed 9 months. Or might exceed. I don't know the exact math here of 282 days, but it's right around that 9-month mark. So, again, still not horrid, but now we're really starting to get close to that 12-month, where things, I would say, really start to go down. And again, this is just with the first batch of KS3s coming out. Now, again, no one really knows how many BItmains are coming. Worst case scenario is about 5,000, which would make the network hash rate about 40 petahash, not including IceRiver. And based on IceRiver's, amounts and their batch sizes so far, I really don't think they have the capacity to output much more per batch than they have been, which has been a couple hundred of every type of unit, the couple hundred, 1 to 200 KS0s, 1 to 200 KS1s, and so on and so forth. But I would imagine probably by the end of this year, if say BItmain gets out 5,000, that's 40 petahash. And if IceRiver continues on their current pace, I would imagine probably 15 to 20 petahash of the network is going to be IceRiver related by the end of the year. So that would put us at about, my estimate, is 60 petahash. So 60 is another, what is that? We just said this was 25-ish. So 60 is like another, divide this in half again, so now you're at 27, 28, and then cut off about another third of that. So we're going to say you'll be making 20 Kaspa a day by January 1st. Which again, still profitable. It only costs like, at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, like 20 cents a day to run this unit. But your daily earnings will be about 80 cents at the current value of Kaspa, which pushes your ROI to over 2 years. So these are just things to keep in mind when it comes to the current price. And that's why I'm really disappointed, because I feel like IceRiver has been like pretty good about pricing these at a number that you can theoretically ROI in a respectable amount of time. And what I would consider respectable, again, we've been kind of spoiled here with Kaspa because of all the price action it has received in the last like 3 to 4 months. But like, I consider good ROI anything under 6 months. Yes, I understand there was a period where with multiple units from IceRiver you could, ROI in under 30 days. And I had that with some of my first 2 batches of KS0s. But from a like holistic, looking at it from the bigger picture, mining in the past and what's typical, I consider anything under 6-month ROI pretty good. And that started to get a little fuzzy here with this batch 5 late August with the 759. Like, I was kind of a little disappointed with that price drop as well too. I kind of thought this should have been a little more. Like, in my mind, this should have been $6.99 or less. Just because with all the hash rate that we know is coming from BItmain, even this one, you know, I think if you got this batch 5, you'll probably still ROI in under a year from when you got it, just because you'll get a decent amount now in the next month or so. But this batch 6, like at 639, I just, honestly, this is what I'm seeing right here. I mean, this is what I think is going to happen on the Kaspa network by the end of the year. And by the end of the year, you're pretty much making 80 cents a day, which makes earning back your $639 really, really difficult. So, again, a little disappointed with this price. I would have liked to see this come down to like the 300s or even sub 300. And maybe it's possible, like, it definitely seems like they're trying to get this KS0 out the door. And like maybe more products are coming. I don't really know, again, or maybe they're just not going to have any more products. Who knows? But the other option that if they were going to try and maintain this price point is to add more ASIC chips into the KS0 and make it like a KS0.5 or something, you know, and it has 500 gig of hash instead of, you know, 100 gig of hash. You know, that could have made it worthwhile as well. But what's currently out there, the KS0 at $639 for 100 gig of hash at 65 watts, I just don't think it's a good buy anymore at this point. I think the ship has sailed at this price. Maybe if there is more batches and we do see a September batch, maybe this will come down considerably. Again, at this point, I'm thinking like 300s or sub 300 is really the only option. With how much, especially with this announcement from BItmain. I mean, this is a game changer. They actually are shipping on time, or relatively on time. I mean, yeah, a lot of these customers probably won't get them until like that very first week in September, depending on how many customs and stuff you got to go through. But, you know, pretty much on time is unheard of from BItmain, but it actually seemed to happen here. And yeah, it's just be really risky to buy one KS0 right now. It's pretty much all I gotta say about that. So I will not be buying a KS0 from this batch again. I do love the units I have. I think they're a cool little miner. I think they help decentralize the network. I really like the product in general. It's pretty good build quality. Like it's all steel and it's heavy. But with its current specs and its current price, I just don't think it's a good buy anymore. And I will be holding off on buying more until one of two things happens. Either this price drops significantly, or its specifications for hash rate drastically increase. I personally would prefer the latter. I think it'd be really cool to get like a low wattage, you know, 500 gig hash unit or something like that. I think that'd be awesome. But again, I don't do their R&D. I have no idea what they're planning. I'm just, you know, I'm just a lowly little miner that loves mining things and lucked out by getting one of these first batch KS0s. So that's pretty much all I got for you today. Again, you can FOMO, but it's not looking very good right now. And none of this is financial advice, but I sure as hell would not buy a KS0. At least my first one right now. It's a little better if I did compounding ROI, you know, since I'd have 5 units effectively earning towards my ROI, but even that, this days to ROI is pretty extreme at that point. So definitely don't recommend. So I'll be back with another update on either when they drop this price again, if they change the specification, or if they just stop selling stuff. I mean, again, I'm going to keep track of this until I at least ROI on my 4 that I still have. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Hope you enjoyed this content. You know, like, subscribe, comment down below. Are you FOMOing in? Have you already come to this conclusion that I have, that it no longer makes sense? Are you guys all surprised, as surprised as me, that the KS3 from BItmain is shipping relatively on time? There's a lot of things going on with Kaspa. It's been a fun ride. I got a nice bag. Had fun with some IceRiver stuff. Took some risks that I didn't think would ever work out, but they have. So, definitely excited to see where this goes. And I'll be back with another update when I have some news to share. Until next time.